Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Hack, and in this video we'll be diving deep into ESO's most powerful mythic item yet, the Oakensoul ring. I'll show you exactly what this mythic item is and how it works, as well as give you detailed instructions and map markers on how to find each of the 5 gold leads you need in order to get it. My goal here is to give you the best, most comprehensive guide possible to minimize the pain needed to achieve this fantastic item. With that in mind, we'll also have a written guide with more info, more screenshots linked down in the description and the pinned comment below if you prefer. But with that said, let's jump right into the video. So first of all, why should you get this mythic item, and is it worth your time? Now, the Oakensoul ring is basically ESO's 1-bar mythic that locks you into not being able to bar swap while it's equipped. Now, as many of you know that watch this channel, some classes can already be fairly powerful even with only 1 skill bar active, and it definitely makes things easier on your rotation if you don't have to bar swap. So in many cases, and depending on your build, this mythic item doesn't really have a downside. You just have to think about your setup and you need to build around it. I like having to actually think about my abilities and narrow it down to my top 5 skills and 1 ultimate. I like the challenge, so if you're interested in that playstyle, make sure to check out my website. We have plenty of 1-bar builds over there. Link is in the description for that as well. So as I said, downside, not really that bad. And on the positive side, of course, you get tons of juicy major and minor buffs on your character at all times. Some of these recreate the same skill buffs you would normally have access to on the traditional, full 2-bar setup. Buffs like Major Resolve for armor, Major Brutality and Sorcery for damage, Major Prophecy or Savagery for critical chance, and so on. This is going to allow you to save skill slots since you really only have 5 and 1 ultimate. Now, what's even better, especially for solo players, is you also get some other very powerful buffs that are typically more reserved for high-end groups and high-end sets. Things like Major Force, Major Berserk, Major Heroism, Major Courage, and more. In short, this is a very powerful item if you don't mind limiting yourself to the 1-bar playstyle. So yes, it is very worth it to pick up this mythic in my opinion. Up next, let's go through each of the mythic leads one by one and show you how to get them. Our first lead is going to be the Igneous Inlay, which comes from the zone of High Isle itself. Now, I actually recommend you pick this up pretty early because it's probably going to be the most difficult lead in terms of the actual enemies that you need to defeat for it. For this, you'll need to farm the volcanic vents throughout the zone of High Isle, which can be soloed if your build is strong enough, but it will be much quicker and easier if you just follow the groups that will be farming these world events anyways with the High Isle release. So to get started, just head over to the zone of High Isle and start unlocking all the vents and all the way shrines you possibly can. There's 7 vents here in total, 4 on the High Isle itself and 3 on Aminos. The first is here to the south, that's just below West Bay Way Shrine. Then you have another one on the west side of the island just above Castle Navir. Then next to Garrick's Rest on the north side of High Isle is the 3rd vent. Then you have the 4th vent to the east near the Dufort Shipyard. In Aminos, there's a vent near the Ghost Haven Bay Public Dungeon. There's one just below the Flooded Coast Way Shrine, and finally, the last vent is going to be at the center of Aminos at the Serpent's Hollow Way Shrine. And by the way, you can get to the Aminos Island by taking the boat from the Dufort Shipyard here. Now, why do I recommend unlocking all 7 vents for this lead? Well, if you're familiar with farming dolmens, those typically spawn in a specific pattern, like a circle that can be easily predicted and looped. But these volcanic vents are actually more random, completely random it seems like. This might actually be why they implemented the world event tracking on the world map, because without this feature and those 7 possible options, farming vents in High Isle would be nearly impossible. What you can do is once you unlock those vents on your map, just open up the map and look for the crossed swords on top of that old dolmen icon. This is going to show you exactly which vent is currently active. Then you just use the closest way shrine, run to the active vent, and complete it. So pretty easy once you get everything set up. Now keep in mind this first lead is not a guaranteed drop, so you'll probably need to complete a good amount of vents before you get it. I would estimate at least 30 minutes, possibly up to an hour. Next 3 leads are honestly very straightforward. They all take place in base game zones, so they're pretty easy. Starting with the Larimar Gems, you'll need to kill the Titan Claw world boss in the zone of Stormhaven. The location is going to be over here on the west side of the zone. Closest way shrine is the Bone Snap Ruins. You need to head over to the lighthouse and then just south to this island called Mud Crab Beach. The main thing you'll need to worry about with this lead is obviously doing enough damage to the world boss so that you get credit for the kill and you can actually get the loot. And I believe only the top 12 damage dealers here are going to get that credit. So make sure your build is spec'd out for as much burst damage as fast as possible, because this boss will die in about 10 seconds or less. Use your strongest abilities and drop your most powerful ultimate as soon as he spawns, and you should be good to go. Next is the Sacred Resin lead, which apparently can drop off of any mob in the zone of Malleable Tor, including bosses and even dolmens, according to what I've heard. But the location that I know of for sure that worked for me as well as others is this area called Velen Harbor. And there's lots of raiders in this area, nothing really special, just kill as many enemies as quickly as you can. This is where I got my lead, and I know others have gotten it here as well. And they got mine from this random Drulbog Ravager. Next, we're going to track down the Stone Shank Frame lead, which can be found anywhere in the zone of Glenumbra. This one is very easy as well. All you need to do is harvest ore nodes. Any ore in the zone is going to be fine. Your blacksmithing skill doesn't matter here either, unless you want to take the passive that makes those nodes easier to see. That could help as well. But I got my Mythic here pretty quickly from a basic iron ore. Now, one more tip here is to follow the mountains near the north side of the zone, or even follow some of the rockier areas through the middle of the zone. The more rocky areas or cliffs nearby, the more nodes you're likely to find, and the quicker you'll get this lead. The final lead, called the Petrified Oak Loop, is currently pretty tough to get, but I've got a couple of tips here to hopefully make it easier for you. If you haven't heard yet, this lead can only be found in Murkmire safe boxes. You know, those little lock boxes that you find around NPC houses and merchants? Now, the fact that there is a limited number of safe boxes in the zone, about 20 or so, that everyone is competing over at the same time definitely makes this lead the most challenging. Plus, the drop is less than 100% and seems to depend on whether you open the box yourself or look at the contents later. Hopefully this lead does get adjusted in the future, but until then, here's how I was able to get it. Now first, there are 4 town locations in Murkmire that spawn these safe boxes. The first is Lilmoth, which is the biggest and has the most spawns. There's about 10 safe box spawns here in total, which is good, but it's also the first way shrine in the zone, so it tends to be the most crowded. I don't recommend spending much time here because of that. Next is going to be Brightthroat Village to the north, which seems to have about 2 safe boxes. Next is Alton Mirhill, probably saying that wrong, but this has another 2 spawns as well. And finally, there's the Deadwater Village, which has 3 boxes up at the north side of the map. So what I recommend first thing is travel through the entire zone, pick up those way shrines, and check out each town. See which one is the least crowded. The fewer people collecting at those safe box spawns, the better. Now, there is currently some debate on whether you need to pick the lock and be first to open the safe box to get the lead, or if you can open the box later after somebody has already unlocked it. Now, I did open about 10 boxes that had been left for me as players were attempting to organize themselves and take turns, which was great, but I actually got 0 leads this way. So either the drop rate is much lower or it just doesn't work. Now, the other option, obviously, is if you are the first person to unlock the box. And then when I did that, when I was the first to click on the safe box and unlock it myself, I got the lead after just 2 boxes. So it seems like you have at least a better chance at that lead if you're the first person to open it and unlock it yourself. Just something to keep in mind here. Now, obviously, this one is going to take the most time and the most patience. I would definitely recommend waiting for this one, or at least waiting until the server population is a little bit lower, nighttime, early morning. I said travel to each of those 4 towns, see which one has the least amount of people, and try to be the first to unlock one of those safe boxes. If you'd like more help with this, I do have some maps that I created over on our website, hacktheminotaur.com. These showcase all the safe box spawns, so hopefully you can find one that hasn't been picked yet. I'll have a link for that guide down in the description if you want to check it out. Of course, make sure you check out all of our 1-bar builds over on the website. Many powerful builds for every class in ESO. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it or you found it informative, do me a favor and crush that like button. It's the easiest thing you can do to support the channel, and it helps to share out this video with more people, so it's much appreciated. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider hitting that subscribe button as well for even more ESO guides, news, and of course, builds. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, we do have a YouTube membership with lots of great perks, like early access to videos and some unique off-meta builds for ESO, and our exclusive members-only video library, like our insane Vampire Templar solo build with over 13,000 spell damage that just got updated for the High Isle chapter, and that you're watching right now. So if that sounds good to you, just click on that join button down below for more information. You can also click on the members link to our website that gives you the full list of videos you have access to. With that said, thanks again for watching. I hope you're doing well. Stay safe out there, and I will see you around in the next video.